Hello, welcome back to my channel, and yes, we are having a look at Star Wars Outlaws. Now, obviously, I believe I do not have to introduce this title to yourself, guys. This is the game that's been widely played and perhaps criticized to a certain extent. Anyhow, we're not here to talk about all that. We're gonna be looking at numbers, and honestly, we need to start off with the requirement. As you know, this is a Ubisoft distribute title. Obviously, they got the license, and now they're trying to milk the franchise, which, can't really blame them for it. I mean, either they or EA, so, pick your poison. Now, when it comes to the system requirements, Ubisoft, in all their wisdom, the never-ending glory, has come up with a whole four options, four requirements for different types of rigs and people and their capabilities to run the game. So they start at 1080p or Full HD at 30 frames, and if you want to play something at Full HD at 30 frames, you will be required to have at least a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 or better. If you want to play this game on 1080p at 60 frames per second with a high graphics preset AMD FSR2 set to quality, you will need at least RTX 3060 Ti. And yeah, obviously we're not gonna do that, so we're going to the next page, and the next page is the recommended for 2K or 1440p is on RTX 4070, and for 4K 60 frames per second they want you to have an RTX 4080. Now, the moment you step above Full HD resolution, the CPU requirements change dramatically. So for 2K resolution, the minimum the CPU you should be having at this stage is an Intel i5 11th gen, and for 4K 60 frames, they want you to have an Intel 7 12th gen as well, but there is, well, technically 12th gen as a 1200 700K. Which, in all honesty, is, not exactly the beefiest CPU out there, so it's not like they're pushing you to have the latest gen anyhow. But, yeah, so they want you to have at least the 4080 for 4K, which we do not possess. We do have 4070 Ti. And here comes the settings, and this is, I think, where a lot of things has gone into a very interesting direction. If you're bored by my talking, just skip somewhere forward 3-5 minutes to the gameplay and numbers and you'll figure it out. So for video, quite a few options here. First and foremost, we are stuck with exclusive full screen. You either have borderless or windowed not borderless or something like that. So we're going with exclusive full screen. 4K native, essentially that's about it when it comes to resolution. Now, cinematics are locked at 30 frames. You can unlock them, so honestly that is kind of a good thing. We're not going to use NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency, and we're not using upscalers. Now, when it comes to upscalers, this game is packed with them. Everything you can figure out. DLSS, FSR, XeSS. Honestly, can't really blame them for it. The game natively out of the box actually enables the upscaler by default DLSS, and I managed to turn it off, and the upscaler quality is going to be native anti-aliasing, which obviously, is just what we get. Now, for the graphics settings themselves, now this is even better. So we're going with the ultra quality preset, chromic aberration, film grain, depth field, motion blur, camera motion blur, pre-object motion blur. I mean, they've gone to town with motion blur in this, so I'm kind of very I really want to turn it all off, because, when it comes to personal preference, I think there's only a couple games out there that really utilizes motion blur as it should be, instead of making a smeary mess of the world, but it's just me. Outside of that, there is an implementation of RTX. As you can see, they actually injected an SDK, which apparently is not exactly path tracing, but very similar to actual RTX light bouncing and stuff like this. Now, the problem is, if you enable this feature, you are cutting your frame rate in half, at least in 4K. Probably it's not going to be that taxing on 2K or even Full HD, but in 4K, I'm not even touching that. Like, that's the thing. Now, all of this out of the way, let's have a look at this beauty of a thing. And honestly, It looks quite terrible. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I don't know if this is the real quadruple A title as per usual from the Ubisoft. They've been proclaiming a lot of things lately, but honestly this looks quite terrible in 4K, and this is native. We're pulling 10 gigs of video memory, which is only in this very contained area. This is literally the room of wherever this creature lives or whatever this is supposed to be. And we're pulling close to 15 gigs of RAM. So for their recommended 4K gameplay experience with 60 frames, their recommended RAM amount is actually 16 gigs. I mean, I guess if your Windows can cache everything and do everything at the same time within 16 gigs, I mean, good luck. I'm kind of happy we have more than that. But yeah, 40-ish frames. And honestly, you know, all things considered, and this is me being burned by Jedi Survivor, it's completely maxed out minus ray tracing, 40-ish. It's not too bad. So let's go for a little stroll here, see where we get and how it all goes. So far the game actually feels pretty decent. The frame time, however, is in high 20s, which obviously can be fixed with adjusting some of the most taxing graphical proportions, obviously, just to reduce the load and wait times on the GPU from the CPU side based on the data. But overall, if I need to find a game that looks similar, I would say it's Anthem. And you might be wondering why I say that. See, at least back in the day, Ubisoft were kind of trying to get their heads around of the game engines they use, and this game is using their Snowdrop engine, and you probably remember Snowdrop from early Division types. And then they went out with Anvil, which they introduced with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the Breakpoint series, but they've fallen back to an improved version of Snowdrop engine, so here we are. Overall, can't really say that it's a bad choice per se, because I do believe it's a bit more compatible with most of the things. But you can see that graphically it just lacks the depth, really. You know, like, I'm not saying we all should be now playing Unreal Engine 5.2 games, but yeah, if you want 4K 60 frames and you need 4080 for this, I don't know. Like, there's some hard choices need to be made there.
High-risk scores that just go sideways.
You want it done right? You do it yourself.
I get it. You've hit some bad luck.
Bad luck? I'm out of marks, I'm broke, and I live in an attic.
Why don't you stick around the Broken Hoof tonight? Fix yourself some dinner. Let me set you up with something small, an easy hustle.
Or you could just give me that job on your pad there.
Nice try.
Then I got plans.
Take some credits. Before the data spike.
I'm good.
Then I'll put it towards your rent.
I said I'm good, Bram.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Yeah. Now we're pulling 11 gigs of VRAM. Let's venture out in the real world, see how bad the frames get. Or maybe they will improve, who knows? No idea. Now, I must be very upfront honest in regards Star Wars lore. I'm totally out of the loop with that. Obviously, I'm your regular casual Mandalorian enjoyer there, but if you ask me what is that or this, I have no clue. You know, just the way it is.
With a busted data spike. Come on, Nix. Let's see Preben.
Let's see Preben. So, yeah, I mean, 50-ish frames. I mean, it's not that bad. And I'm also recording, so give or take 3 to 4 frames, maybe here or there. Now, the game is running off from NVMe drive. It is running the latest NVIDIA's driver for the game, because obviously, with every major title release, NVIDIA catches up with their drivers. And I'm pretty sure this game already has received a patch or something like that. I think I read it about somewhere. So it might be running better than it did on day 1 release. No idea. I see there's no NPC interaction even if I bump into them, so essentially Oblivion wins. And even Skyrim, but hey ho. I can jump, but I don't see free running, so it's not exactly a copy-paste of Assassin's Creed. Even though I believe there is something about that. And we have some quest-giving NPCs around the block. Yeah, we're not climbing anything. I mean, overall, to be fair, this almost feels that it could easily run within 30 frames and still be playable.
Huh. All the merchants are out for the Kanto Cup.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, you know, graphically, this is not, you know, something I would say. It is jaw-dropping, and you need to spend big bucks to play this game. And yeah, I've seen gameplay fails about, you know, the AI,
What do you think,
the different things, the interactions, the glitches, the bugs. Fair enough, but then again, you know, as a Ubisoft user, so to say, you know, I wouldn't want to call myself an addict, but as a Ubisoft user, I would be more concerned if there was no glitches and bugs in their games rather than if they have. And that comes from even like Assassin's Creed, like OG Assassin's Creed times we had glitches and bugs. You know, it's just no one was making YouTube videos back in the day. Now they're surfacing, fair enough, but yeah, I don't know. 40, you know, high-ish, mid-level-ish, 40-ish is not too bad. It's not great, but then again, with 4070 Ti and i5, 96K, so 9th gen i5 and 4070 Ti, no upscaler, everything cranked, minus the RTX implementation, because in all honesty, if it's not real RTX, I'm not interested. Oh, I'm not interested in RTX full stop anyhow. For game to run within 45-ish, 50-ish frames on Ultra? I mean, let's be real here, that is not half bad. So if we actually enabled an upscaler, so we can do it right now. No, surprisingly enough, the game doesn't crash when you do it. I did slightly play around with the settings before. So, what we're gonna do, obviously DLSS, we're gonna go for whenever it figures out to change a setting, because this is taking time. We're gonna go with biased, so there's a slight explanation what that is. Yeah, whatever. And we need to change the native AA. Now what we can go with biased. Let's go with biased here. Going in and out of different setting screens is a little bit kinda weird when it comes to it. It's kinda a little bit slow, but still. Right, so DLSS is on, biased upscaler mode, balanced. And we have gained 60-ish frames. And I'm pretty sure there was... I will just wait a couple seconds. I'm pretty sure there was frame gen somewhere as well. Yeah, there we go. So, with the frame gen, we should be in about high 80s, I would expect. There we go. So even 90. So what happens on the GPU VRAM? We actually are pulling still 11 gigs. RAM has gone up all the way to almost 16 gigs. But we are above 45 frames. So, granted, yes, I know. You might say, oh, but you have 4000 series GPU, which is fair enough. Yes, you know, okay, fair. But even without frame gen and being a bit more aggressive with DLSS, let's say I'm using balanced for most part, but if I'm streaming the game, I usually use Ultra Performance anyway, because I take frames over graphical fidelity any day of the, well, day, essentially. I don't know how the saying goes. But yeah, I mean, overall, it is not that terrible. And this is a semi-lively place. So these violet reflections, this literally is almost like one-to-one with Watch Dogs Legion. Like, if you play that game, you know that this theme runs throughout the whole game. Like, literally, there's always a rave, there's always a violet, pink neon sign somewhere. You just can't get rid of it. And surprisingly enough, obviously, since we did reduce certain load on a GPU, even though it's still pegged out at 98-99%, the frame time has actually gone down to 9.10 and 10 or 12 milliseconds instead of hitting high 20, which is also a win in my book. But does it really change the game that much? Honestly, I wouldn't say so. Like, yeah, I don't know. We can use Nyx. I'm not gonna use Nyx.
There's Preben.
Just gonna steal from this dude. I'm kind of getting the vibe that all these locations is more like play once and forget, because as a person who's a casual Star Wars enjoyer, none of this really grabs my attention to the point where I really want to stay and engage in activities, some space chess or whatever they're doing. So let's have a look here.
Preben.
No atake. Chichi no gabetisa tukamna. Una 16 pint ut jituana uba japagoyama sif no lia club tasis.
Come on. I just need my data spike fixed.
Anji chusa tajis galif. Sosa uba ropada tis. Son pitch crispo.
Because the forged identicards in that vault are the only way I get off this planet. I'm done with Kanto.
Abakanto sati uba.
Good. Only options I got here are sixth kin or prison.
Aku an uba tinka zakutu utwata.
At least someone like me has a shot at a decent score. Maybe even see the core worlds. Preben, you help me one last time, and we never talk again.
Eniki, kutuba numa jeche kopa. Pasabata jo peuba vipta jakrita.
I should have seen the Ubisoft fetch quest coming from miles away. Because this is also a training tutorial for the Nyx abilities, I would assume.
Why not take a look?
Acquire credits to pay pre-ban. 100 credits? I mean, that's not even that much. Wow, how broke are we in this game? It's like, for once, give me like a noble character that just makes it rain and nobody questions them.
Hey, get him. Nice lift, Nyx.
How much did we get? 54! Okay, we're stealing stuff. I'm sorry everyone, but it is how it is. Oh, look at this, 79 now. How are we getting rid of this?
I scavenged enough parts to pay off the sick kid.
Probably there's at least one more person we can steal and we can get the date stick, but oh well. It's probably all the way somewhere back. And you can sprint in this game. So you can speedrun this game and never play it again. Okay, I'm just kidding. Maybe someone actually likes the game. And this is the weird part. Like, when you go on reviews of the game, despite most of them being read and nobody likes the game, at the same time it sits on an average score of 4.8 out of 5. So, go figure. How come that people don't like the game, but at the same time they're rating the game that it's actually good somehow?
Nyx, go. Fetch. Okay, let's go see Preben.
Essentially, Ubisoft's rule of 3. Do it 3 times and there you go, like... Oh, Ubisoft, please never change. But yeah, honestly, playing this game with the frame gen and DLSS is as you would expect.
Okay, Preben, I have the credits.
Wata. Chubakava biasa jebe chut pasabata.
All right, let's test it out. Okay, now we get that identicard from Club Tarsus. They're our ticket out of here next, and then, before you know it, we're rich.
Surprisingly enough, the game actually runs smooth. In comparison to Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, which was pretty much impossible to play, this actually runs good.
Busy night?
You're not getting in, Kay. Club's already got enough rats.
Really funny. Come on, Nix. We'll find our own way in.
I just have to...
Huh, looks like we can fit through there. Okay. No
Oh, how did I figure that out? Ah, Ubisoft. Okay, what do you want me to do? Oh! Okay, I need help. Listen to the rhythmic pattern, press in sync with every beat in a loop. You can pick left and right, adjusting difficulty. If you want, you can enable an extra visual UI helper. You can also change the date speaking difficulty in options. Just had to tell me it's in a loop. Don't need to make me
Hang on, Nix.
doubt
We're
my
going up.
completely. Oh, we're going up somewhere. Okay.
Do your thing, Nix. Just like I taught you. Hit that button, Nix.
Yeah, it looks like this critter is gonna be very crucial for the gaming experience we have. Oh wow. Anyone in here? Anything to loot? Guess not.
Here we are.
Elvis is at the casino tonight. She's got a father racing in the cup.
You been to the casino?
No?
Still the thing in the office. Okay.
Act casual. We come here all the time. We're close. The identicard is in the boss's office.
Yeah, well, probably the forced stealth section which this game is kind of notorious about. But yeah, outside of that, honestly, let's just disable everything just for the reference sake. But you might imagine that obviously, if you don't use DLSS in 4K with 4070 Ti, you are kinda out of options. No frame gen. And everything is gonna be temporal native A8. There we go. Let's apply, and I think we're gonna be in the 50s anyhow. And the frame time is back to 20-ish something, but there's still 46, 47 frames, so I don't know, you know, like, I can understand that the gameplay itself might not be everyone's cup of tea, granted, but with an upscaler and If this game doesn't hiccup and stutter with an i5 96 stock, hey, you know, if you have some credits to spare or you have this game for free, you probably can run it. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Over and out.